Okay, hello. So, I am making this video because I abruptly cut off my labor and delivery vlog, and as promised, I said that I would make a story. So, a lot of the beginning part you'll see, but I just wanted to explain a little better. I actually should have written down all of the information because my boyfriend wrote it all down for me, knowing that I'd want to know it. But I have not taken note of any of that yet, and I don't want to push it off filming this anymore. So I'm just going to do it. Even though I don't have all the times and stuff. And, things got a little crazy and loopy. So, okay, so to start off, on Monday night, on the 26th, we went in for me to be induced. We got there at like 11 p.m., I think, something like that. So I wasn't admitted until, a little bit later. But I got admitted around like right before 12, I think, and they said they were going to do a cook balloon. So I had the Foley balloon with the girls. If you watched, I know it's really hard to hear it because my sound was so off, and I didn't want to record it, but with the girls I had a Foley balloon. So with that, it's one balloon that they stick up in there, and it puts pressure. With the cook balloon, it's two balloons. So it's a catheter like the Foley balloon is, and then they put like a balloon inside the uterus and then another one outside the uterus. So it kind of like squishes it together and flattens it and makes it, well, maybe not flattens it because I wasn't facing, but anyway, it opens it. So I got the cook balloon. So they said they were going to do that, and I went to go get it, and first one they put in fell out. The second one they put in the wrong place, and it was so painful. But again, it also fell out because it wasn't in the right place. So she, I guess they were using like a speculum, and it wasn't working. So she actually used her fingers to do it, and it worked. So I don't know why they didn't do it in the first place. I asked for fentanyl when they did that, and so anyway, I was a little loopy, but they got that in. It was fine. Obviously, like I said, I was on fentanyl. So at first, it didn't really hurt that bad. Getting it hurt because of, how many times I had to do it and stuff. But once it was in, it was fine, I felt some pressure, but it was fine. And I was feeling some contractions, but not really. Like, I was like, oh, my contraction every 2 minutes. And they're like, yeah, 2 to 3, 2 to 4, whatever. I'm like, okay. So that was cool. I was like, okay, great. So, then we waited. So the cook balloon is supposed to either fall out or it's supposed to come out in 12 hours if it hasn't fallen out. And so we waited all night, like I said. So by the time I actually got the cook balloon, it was almost 2 in the morning. So we'll just say it was like 2 a.m. And pretty much all night. So they were like, okay, get some sleep, right? All night I was in pain. I was in back labor. So the pain in my back was so bad. I felt no contractions in my front, but I felt waves of contractions, like in my back, like in my lower back. And it was really painful comparatively to what I expected. It hurt enough that I was having to breathe, and I had to be monitored for an hour on the fetal monitoring. She looked great. Everything was fine. They took me off, and once they took me off, I was getting up and walking around. And the tape on my leg came off, so I had to retape it, and it was pulling on me. It was super uncomfortable. But I didn't want to wake up my boyfriend. I was trying to let him sleep, so I was trying to breathe through it. And eventually, I got to the point where I was just like, look, I can't. So I woke him up and asked for what I can do, I guess. I didn't want the epidural, so it's not like I was gonna get an epidural right now. That's ridiculous. So, which I'm very glad, knowing that I was in labor for so long, I'm very, very, very glad that I did not opt for that. But they were like, we can give you fentanyl, we can give you morphine. So the thing is, the morphine is a shot in your butt, and it hurts really badly. So I opted to have the morphine, but only if I could have the fentanyl first. It doesn't really make sense now, but it made sense at the time. So I got the fentanyl, which was IV, and then we waited an hour. We had to wait an hour, and after an hour, I had to get the morphine shot in my butt. It hurt so badly, but it worked for 8 hours, and so I was not able to sleep continuously like I was with the twins, but But at least this time I asked for the morphine. I knew what to expect. I knew that it hurt really badly last time, so I asked them to please not do it in my butt, because that way when I sit, it hurts. So they did it like in my hip. I feel like it was still my butt, and the lady who did it just didn't get the memo. But at least it didn't hurt afterwards. It hurt for like a little bit, because the actual spot where I had the injection hurt. But mostly it didn't hurt. So anyway, so I got that, and then I was kind of like, fading in and out. After 12 hours of having the Belay balloon, so it was like 1:51 p.m. or something like that, I was able to get it out, and they checked me, and so when I went in, I was 1 centimeter, and they said, the person who checked me, because this is opinion, they can't, all of it's opinion, all of it's feelings, so she said 1 centimeter, about 60% of face. I was like, I'm good. Or no, she said 20% of face. Yeah, she said 20% of face. I'm like, we're good. 20% is fine, as long as it's more than it was before. So then when I got the balloon out, she said I was 60% of face and 5.5. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 5.5. That's so great. So she was like, okay, so we're going to start Pitocin. And I was like, can we just wait a little bit? Because like last time I went into labor on my own with the balloon, they were like, this is what you want. You wanted an induction. You're going to get an induction, whatever. We're bringing the Pitocin. So I was like, fine. So I going to wait half an hour or something to give me a little break. So we waited like half an hour. I think it ended up being a little longer. But then she came in with the Pitocin, and we started it in 2, and then we brought it to 4, and then a 6, and then an 8, blah, blah, blah. Ended up going all the way to 14. And I was just contracting, still in my back. So we kind of, me and the nurse who was on call for the PM shift that next day on the 27th, decided together, we think, that she was sunny side up. So that means that her spine was facing my spine, which means all of the pressure and all of the contractions were being put in my back, on my sacrum. So that's where I was feeling all the pain, was like right on my tailbone, a little bit like in my hips too, but mainly my tailbone. And so it was definitely more painful than the twins was. And it was more painful than I expected, especially considering, everything. So once I got Pitocin, then I also got my antibiotics started, because we kind of all assumed being 5.5, the doctor might have been right. She came in and said, okay, you need to play catch up. Your body was basically forced to 5.5, and your body didn't get there on its own. So you need to efface still, and you need to do all this stuff. So we need to play catch up, and it's going to take a second. I'd be surprised if you're even in pain at all before I leave, because she was working from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I was like, okay, all this happened at 2 p.m. So I was like, whatever. So she checked after some hours. I have this in the actual vlog. And I was still 5.5. And then I waited all night, overnight, and when the next shift came in the morning, I got checked again, and I was still 5.5 centimeters. So I went from 5.5 and 60 to then I was checked at the next shift, and I was 5.5 and 70. 70, I think she said. And then I was checked at the next shift, and I was 75, 5.5, 75. So I wasn't really making progress. It was really frustrating because I was starting to get in pain, and I was really, really tired at this point because I had been in labor all this time, Now it had been 30 hours or something. I was induced at 2 a.m., and then it was 8 a.m. the next day. So I was like, okay, I'm so tired. I just want to go to sleep. I hadn't been able to sleep for longer than an hour at a time. We were trying to watch movies. We were trying to distract me. The good thing is, because I wasn't opting for an epidural, I was able to eat. So I had all my meals. I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And, so then we went to sleep on Tuesday night. Like I said, we had gone to sleep on Tuesday night. That was Wednesday morning, on the 28th. And I had breakfast, I had lunch, and they kind of were like, look, we have to break your water because you're not progressing, and we're hoping that if we break your water, then things will progress fast, because that kind of like is a catalyst, whatever. So at first I was like, I really don't want to do that. Can we just wait a little bit? Just give me a little bit longer. And she was like, fine. So she gave me a little bit longer, and she came in and she broke my water. All this time, I had asked for fentanyl and fentanyl and fentanyl, and you can get it every 2 hours. Pretty much as you want, I guess. They had originally told me that you can only have 3, and so I was like, oh my gosh, 3 my entire labor, 3 times a day. I don't know. But then the other nurse was like, no, you can have it every 2 hours, as you desire, you know? It's just that at a certain point, it's not going to work anymore, you know? You're going to get farther along, your body's going to stop reacting to it, whatever the situation, it's not going to work anymore. So we were kind of like, okay. So I had been asking for it. I think I had like 4 doses total or something. I said I needed it to get my water broken, I needed it for the balloon, and then I needed it before the morphine. And also at this point, things were getting more painful down there. Every single check was very painful, which it wasn't in the beginning. And every single 8 hours, I had to get a new bag of clindamycin. And that was getting kind of a pain in the butt. I had to pee like a million times because with the Pitocin, they give you fluids automatically to, I guess, like water it down. I kind of asked that. I was like, do I even need these fluids? Because now I'm walking around with an IV, you know, and an IV port. And yes, I was lucky enough that they did put me on the fetal monitoring that I was able to walk around with. But, yeah, it was still a pain in the butt. And, so, yeah, I mean, I got in the shower. I tried to get in the shower and do that, and that worked a little bit. It helped a little bit, but it was still, you know, I was kind of like, oh my gosh. Okay, so anyway, anyway, my water had been broken, and they turned it down to a 6, and then they turned it up to an 8. Once they turned it to an 8, the pain was just so bad, and I just couldn't take it. I was like crying and screaming and thrashing around, like really embarrassingly. I just couldn't help it, and I'm the kind of person who does not like to be vulnerable in front of people. So for me to be acting like that in front of the nurses and the doctor and everybody, that was a lot for me. So they came in, they heard me screaming and all that stuff, I'm sure. They came in, they checked me. They said, oh, well, we're going to see maybe it's time to push. And I was really hoping that it was. But she checked me, she said, I'm effaced, completely effaced. But I was a 5.5 still. And it was just so, like I was just like, how can I still be a 5.5? So, they asked if I wanted epidural, and I said no. I said I wanted fentanyl, but I figured it might not work because as we had talked about, you know, it's only going to cut so much pain down. So, after talking to my boyfriend, I kind of figured that I would get the epidural, which I really didn't want, and I'm still kind of like about it because I really, really didn't want it, and I felt like I'd be a failure if I got it at this point after not wanting it and pushing off, and I had made it, you know, 38 hours, but there's just no way. Like, I didn't know how much longer it was going to be. I know that if it was time to push, I absolutely would have been able to push her out without it. If it was 9 centimeters, I would have been able to wait. If it was going to be like 30, 60 minutes probably before I had her, it would have been fine. But being 5.5, I had been 5.5 for like 30 hours at this point, and I was just like, I cannot. So I opted to get it. It didn't work the way I wanted it to. My legs were completely numb, and because of our positioning, we're guessing, there was still a whole section on my lower right side where I felt less intensity and less strong, but I was definitely feeling contractions to the point where I was really uncomfortable, and the fact that I was stuck in the bed and my legs were completely numb to the point where I couldn't even move them by myself, and I had to ask for help to even move over, was just awful. Like, I was just like, I'm so uncomfortable. There's literally no way to get comfortable. Like, I turned the epidural down to see if I could get my legs to work. It didn't work. They were still numb, and I was just feeling more pain. So I asked for it to be turned back up, and all the while, you know, people are like, oh, well, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? And I'm just like, look, I want to be comfortable. I want to not feel claustrophobic, but I also don't want to be in pain. I'm willing to be a little claustrophobic and be in a little pain, but only if they're working together to be the optimal solution for me. And so nothing worked. I asked for it to be turned back up, whatever. And I was trying to turn. I was like, waking my boyfriend up every 15 minutes, which is really unfortunate. I feel bad about that. And then, so awful. So as I said, my water had been broken, and my water had been broken at this point for a while. I got the epidural sometime in the afternoon, and it was around 4 p.m. And at 8 p.m. ish, the new shift came in. She checked me. She said I was 6 centimeters, so I was finally making progress, but it was barely any progress. And I'm just like, okay, at what point do I just get a C-section? Because I'm not progressing, and if I'm not progressing, then like what is considered no progress? And they're like, well, if anything is progressed at all, then we're considered progress. So I got checked at 8 p.m. Now it's a little bit later, and we're doing all the vitals and stuff. So I end up getting an infection, which is great, right? So now I'm uncomfortable, worried that I'm gonna become septic, worried that they're not gonna give me a C-section in time, because it was my understanding that if you have your water broken and you start having an infection, then they just give you an automatic C-section, because it's dangerous otherwise. But I guess that's not how it works. And they just added another antibiotic to my antibiotics, which is kind of awkward because the clindamycin had been running and I wasn't due for it yet, so I couldn't get that, so I had to have them separately. But I got like another antibiotic, and then I had another clindamycin when the time came, and anyway, so thank goodness they came in a couple hours later, about midnight. She came in just like, I'm just gonna check you, see what's up. I'm like, fine. It had been 4 hours, so I'm figuring whatever. And she checks me, and I'm sitting there. Me and my boyfriend are both sitting there. We're like, yeah, okay, we're gonna be 5. I'm gonna be 5. I'm probably gonna have like gone back and be 5.5 now. I was 6 before. Maybe I'll be 6.5, whatever. And she's like, oh, it's time to push. So I was like, what? So unfortunately, my legs were really numb for pushing. I got really upset, and I was like, can I at least push on my side? Can I lay on my side? She was like, of course, absolutely. Obviously I just couldn't get up, but any way that I could lay in the bed, she was gonna let me do. It was without using my legs to obviously hold myself up, because my legs weren't gonna be working. So I got to lay on my side. I switched to the other side. We did it kind of in the seating position. I pushed for 41 minutes, and my little baby girl was born. It was really, really awesome because, I never thought that I'd want to do any of this stuff, but when she offered for me to look and watch it with the mirror, I was just like, you know what, at this point, let's just do it. Brought the mirror over, watched myself push her out, and then she asked if I wanted to catch her when she came out. So she's like, okay, once she starts crowning, then you can feel her head, and then once her head and her shoulders are out, you can just grab her into the arms and pull her out yourself. So that's what I ended up doing. My boyfriend offered to take pictures, but I was just like, no, just be in the moment. Like, honestly, if there's pictures that I can't post online, I don't really need to have them. I have the memory, and I have the experience. And yeah, I kind of regret a little bit not having the pictures now, because, it's just so special. But that's pretty burned in my mind. I don't think I'm gonna forget. So she was born with me pulling her out, and she got to go on my chest right away. We did an hour together. Well, I did 40 minutes, and then I let my boyfriend have 20 minutes of skin to skin. Then they did like the weight and the vitals and all that stuff that they do, the shots, whatever, So it was really special. So not the best story time, but that's what happened after I stopped recording. It was just really hard for me to continue to record after I got the epidural, being uncomfortable and upset about it, and I wasn't able to get up and go to the bathroom, where I was trying to record with the light, and the thing is, I didn't want the light on, so with the light off, obviously you couldn't see anything. I didn't really want to just keep making updates on basically nothing. I was so discouraged at that point that I kind of was just like, whatever. So it's unfortunate that I didn't keep recording. It's unfortunate that I didn't get any film of like her actual birth, but I'm glad I filmed something better than nothing. So I just figured I would pair the vlog with this story time thing, kind of just explain. I know it's not the best explanation of what happened, but just kind of explain a little bit about what happened and why. I stopped recording. So, and how she was born. So she was born at 1:11 a.m., like I said, on October 29th. I pulled her out. It was really special. She got to breastfeed during the golden hour. She was very interested in eating, and so, yeah, that's my story. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope everybody has a fabulous day. And I will try to continue with these. It's not the easiest thing to do, but with 3 kids, but I'm going to try. So thank you so much. All right, bye.